so I'm Lin.
I'm Victoria.
And we are the LV Project.
Alright, happy summer! I hope you guys are doing well and enjoying our previous video. So for today we're gonna do something different. Besides from my new haircut, we're gonna do something new, and we're excited about it. We call it mini series. We're gonna talk about the prerequisites of pre-med and pre-nursing. We're still gonna do what we've been doing in the middle of all that, but I think it's gonna be super fun. Lin and I, we're gonna take turns teaching you guys and just refreshing our own brain since MCAT is coming up. And I don't know what I'm gonna do with it, but I think it's gonna be useful to just refresh.
Well, our world is pretty much revolves around science, so why not just go back, go down memory lane, just remember all those horrors, those surprises, those happiness of science.
We're gonna relive it together. So for today we're gonna start with Gen Chem. And since Gen Chem is like a year, so we can't just cover it in 1 or 2 videos. So we're gonna cover it in 4 videos.
Maybe more.
Or maybe more. It's up to you guys if you need more. If not, we're gonna move on. It's just a little bit of taste of how it feels like, and if it matches, if you guys like how we teach or something like that, then you guys can request more topics that we can cover. But we're gonna start with Gen Chem, and I'm gonna be teaching it today, and then Lynn's gonna be teaching it next time, and then we're just gonna go vice versa. And then in the middle of all that, we're gonna still have a video where we just talk about life as a college student.
Pretty much.
Let's get started. Alright guys, it's Victoria here, and we're gonna start working on chemistry. So one of the important things for Gen Chem is converting one unit to another. It's really important. You need that skill for basically the entire Gen Chem, and it's just really useful and fun. I find it fun. I hope you guys will too. And again, there's different ways to do this, but this is how I do it, and I will show you with 3 examples. Alright, as you can see, this is the first question. 12.5 inches is equals to how many centimeters? First things first, when you read a question, you should figure out the things that are known. Okay, so right now we're just gonna write down, but you don't have to write it down when you're used to it. So usually in the question, or not, if you can't, you will ask your professor. It will be given that 1 inch is equals to 2.54 centimeters. You don't have to memorize this. It's given, and then all you need to do is convert it, right? And this is how I do it. So we know that 1 inch is equals to 2.54 centimeters. Then I ask myself, right? So if 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters, how much of a centimeter is 2.5 inches? And I would just put X, and then we're just gonna do cross multiplication. So we're gonna cross this unit because it's the same, and then we're gonna cross multiply X times 1 is X, and then 12.5 times 2.54 centimeters. I already did the calculation. Your professor will give you to use your calculator, and then it will be 31.75. And then we're gonna take this centimeters, and then I usually box my answer so that your professor, it's just easy for them to grade the question, to grade your answer. And so that's how I do it. All right, let's do question number 2. It's a little bit harder. And it touches on other things. So don't worry if you don't know this CU thing. takes me a while too. So, okay, how many copper atoms are in a copper penny with a mass of 3.10 grams? So again, remember, right? The first thing that we want to do is write down what we know. So we know that the mass of the copper is 3.10 grams, right? So we want to write mass of copper is 3.10 grams. And also again, your professor will give this to you, 1 mole of copper. You'll learn what mole is later. 1 mole of copper is 63.55 grams copper. This is the molar mass of copper. Okay, again, another thing that your professor will let you know, 1 mole is 6.022 times 10 to the 23 atoms. This is called Avogadro's number. Your professor is either gonna give you this number or you have to memorize it. But definitely things like conversions, they will give it to you. But yeah, make sure you ask your professor right here if you need to memorize this or not. Okay, and again, the question is, it's asking for Cu atoms, right? So we're gonna go Cu atoms, question mark. Not to be confused with this question mark. Okay, so now we're gonna start the conversion. Same thing. We know that from here, right? 1 mole of copper is 63.55 grams. So if it's 3.10 grams, how many is it in mole? So again, same unit, cross it, and then cross multiplication. 310 mole Cu, 63.55 x 3.10 mole Cu over 63.55, and then after calculation, this is what I get. Just write as many, I would say, as many as you want. I guess 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 or 6 would be safe, but since you have a calculator, you can just keep it in your calculator. Okay, so that's the first part, mole of Cu. But this is mole of Cu that we have in 3.10 grams, right? So 63.55 grams, you got 1 mole. 3.10 grams, you got this much. And now we're not answering the question yet. One of the mistakes that a lot of students make is that they stop here. Always go back to like, okay, what is the question that's being asked? It's copper atoms. So this is not copper atoms. This is the unit that you want. So then this is part 2, or like the next thing that we're gonna do is, again, with Avogadro's number, 1 mole is 6.022 times 10 to the 23. And then you're gonna put this number here, right? Same unit, 0.048788049 mole of Cu, and then x. Cross the same unit and then cross multiplication, and then you get this number after using a calculator. Again, I box my answer, and then it depends on your professor. Some of them want 4 decimal places, but some wants more or less, so it just depends. All right, that's the answer to number 2. All right, this is the third question for in terms of converting from one thing to another, or just this is the same, in the same sense, it's the same thing, but people call this stoichiometry, which is finding out the amounts of substances that are involved in reactions. This is a reaction. Okay, in photosynthesis, plants convert CO2 and HO2 into glucose. Like you already know in your biology class, when you have carbon dioxide and water in a plant, they will process it and make oxygen and glucose, like which is a sugar type of chemical. So the question again, in photosynthesis, plants convert this to that. Suppose you determine that a particular plant consumes 37.8 grams of CO2 in 1 week. What's the mass of the glucose can the plant synthesize from the CO2? So the question is asking, we know the CO2, we know this, right? Now we want to find out when the plants process this, how many glucose can it make? So again, grab my paper here. Same things first. First things you want to do, we want to pay attention in a reaction. You want to make sure that it's balanced. And I already checked and it's balanced, so you want to check that. Sometimes professors can get tricky and they will mess your calculation up. You just want to make sure that the carbons here are the same number with carbons there. Yeah. Okay, let's begin. So first things first, again, we want to write down what we know, right? So we know that the mass of CO2 is that number. So mass of CO2 is 37.8 grams. Your professor will tell you that the molar mass of CO2 is 44.01 grams per mole, and the molar mass of glucose is 180.2 grams per mole. And from this reaction, we know that 1 mole of glucose is 6 moles of CO2. So we want to write that down too, so we remember, because that can mess up the calculation if we don't remember it. Okay. Right. And again, the question is, okay, we're looking for the mass of glucose. We know that 1 mole, right? 1 mole of CO2 is 44.01 grams. So we want to write that down. 1 mole is 44.01 grams. And then we want to find out that if the CO2 is, let's write that down, CO2. If the mass is 37.8, what's the mole of it? Same units, cross, cancel the same unit, and then cross multiply, 37.8 mole CO2, 44.01x, and then just divide that divided by that, and then you would get 858.896 mole of CO2. Okay, and then you get that, keep that number, and then you go to the next one. We know that in here 1 mole of sugar or glucose is 6 mole of CO2. So if we have this much, how much is it in the other one? So 0.858896 mole of CO2. You usually want to put the same units in the same side, and then again x, cross cancel, and then cross multiply. You would get 0.143149 mole of glucose. Okay, we're almost there. Okay, last step, right? Again, this is mole of glucose, so we're close. We've converted from mole of CO2 to mole of glucose, and now we just have to find the mass, which is gonna be easy at this point. So we know from the molar mass that 1 mole of glucose equals to 180.9 grams. So then 0.143149 mole is how many grams? Cancel same unit, cross multiply, you get 25,795 grams of glucose. There you go. Thank you so much for watching. Again, this is LV Project, and thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.